Welcome, everyone, to another enlightening Ascension Wisdom Conversations. It is brought to you by Galactic Ascension Academy at SheilaTillich.com. Yes, this is the time to awaken and live your soul's mastery. I am a Galactic grandmother, Sheila Tillich, and I invite you to relax and enjoy this time together as we discover our Ascension Wisdom Mastery. As souls, we have entered a higher dimensional reality as humans on planet Earth. This is the new energy consciousness. It has awakened our multidimensional spiritual DNA abilities, which are given to us by our galactic ancestors. Join me, dear ones, as we live at our soul's full potential, live in our wisdom mastery in this ascension time. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. And I am your host, Reverend Sheila B. Tillich. And today I have a special guest with me. Her name is Lisa Najjar, and I am just so excited for you all to meet her. I've known Lisa for about a year and a half now, and I am so excited to share her with you guys, everybody. So, Lisa, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All
Thank you,
right.
Sheila, for having me. I'm so happy to be here with you.
You're welcome. So let me share a little bit about Lisa so you all know who she is. So Lisa Najjar used to be a court reporter. Now she's reporting for a higher court, not the Supreme Court, but the Celestial Court. As an international psychic medium, speaker, and author of Dying to Tell You, channeled messages from the famously dead, Lisa feels she is living her passion to help raise consciousness on the planet. Lisa channels messages from higher dimensions and has a keen gift for accessing the actual Akashic Records. She uses this information to help clients understand their karmic lessons and resolve their present issues. Lisa offers private consultations worldwide, along with workshops, courses, and events, including her popular Increase Your Intuitive IQ, ongoing intuitive development classes. So, Lisa, wow, you have a lot here, and I am just so excited for my guests to learn all about you and to hear. And we have so much in common. That's what I love about living my life serendipitously and serendipity and synchronously. We have some people in connection, and that's how we met. And there's no coincidence for any of it. I know that. And I know your life is the same way. The people that we meet, our journey, our passion, our mission is all about why we're here, to be the light workers that we are. So, Lisa, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I love being with you. Yes, we do have many people in common, and we are on the same path, Sheila. So it's lovely to collaborate with somebody that speaks the same language.
I know we speak this like-minded, same language, and it's like we pick up on those little snippets of comments and words, and it's like co-create and serendipity and passion and my mission and stuff like that. And what I like about you is that you're also an angel person like me, and the divinity part about it, the divinity. And I know you talk to Jesus and Mother Mary, and so do I absolutely love that. So can you share with my listeners a little bit about kind of the beginning? I know it's kind of hard to go way back in the beginning, and don't you just love it when people say, well, where did this all started? It's like, well, let me go back. But it's true. It's like we are all in this together, and we do have a story. So give me a little bit of the backstory, and then we'll continue that from here, especially with this being Holy Week, and very, very important to be able to know the backstory, but also why we're here as light workers doing the work that we do. So
Right. Yes. Well, I would say that I was a natural born intuitive medium. I just didn't think anything of it. I mean, as a young person, as a teenager, I remember living in a house with my friend whose sisters, both of them tragically, 1 year apart, died. And they both showed up in the house on around Christmas time. And I just didn't think anything of it. I mean, I very matter-of-factly that next morning said to my friend, hey, by the way, your sisters were here last night. And it was not a big announcement. It was almost like no big deal. like, oh, I had this interesting dream. It was just like nothing. And so she and the family thought it was crazy and they didn't believe me. And I thought, okay, sure. And I never thought any more of that. So little things like that would always happen. But I didn't ever intend to work that. I was a co-reporter and I lived in Canada and I was in Vancouver at the time. I was born and raised in Ontario, then moved to Vancouver. And I worked as a court reporter, taking down dictation for the judges and lawyers and whatnot. But I always had that. And then it was, I can't even remember the year. I think it might have been around 2013-ish, something like that. I was up in the mountains. The Rocky Mountains here, there's four lakes, and they're already, one of them's already in the fifth dimension, and the other ones are angelic lakes. And so Lake Louise is where apparently Archangel Michael goes when he's on the planet. So I decided one summer to do all four lakes, especially the fifth dimensional lake, which is very hard to get into. You have to book like 6 months in advance to get in because they let 30 people a day in for only 4 months of the year. So I booked and got in, and I had the most amazing experiences there. I mean, just full of angel experiences. However, Walt Disney came through to me and he asked me if I would do a project with him. And I said, what? You know, like I wasn't doing this work at all. I was a court reporter. And he said, you know, it's a book. And I said, well, you know, I'm not a writer. I can't stand writing. I'm not going to write a book. And he said, no. And he was trying to convince me and I just dismissed it. So that was the end of that. Then fast forward 2 years to 2015. And on Good Friday of 2015, which for me is one of the holiest days of the year, I always have the most profound experiences on Good Friday, which is coming up in a few days. And that year I went to church, and I'm not even a church goer per se, but I did go because I always go on Good Friday and Easter Sunday. And I was talking to God and I was just saying, what would you have me do? And as I was leaving the church, I heard, you know, basically to write this book. And I thought, huh? So then that night, George Harrison, Abraham Lincoln, and Walt Disney, all three of them came in, Good Friday 2015, and they said, now will you do this? And I said, look, guys, I'm not a writer. I agonize about writing a paragraph. So I'm not a writer. I don't know why you would come to me. And they said, yes, but you take dictation, don't you? Isn't that what you do all day? And I said, and they said, well, that's all we want you to do, just take dictation. And I said, okay, fine. And they told me it would be a book about famous historical figures and celebrities, and that they had passed and that they had everything in this world, fame, career, influence, love, money, all of it. And they realized that none of it mattered when they crossed over. And they want to be able to share with us the wisdom of what they wish they had done now that they see from a higher perspective. So that's what they did. And then that all happened. But then I sat there and I wasn't going to do a thing about that book. It was just sat there. In the meanwhile, while it's sitting on my computer, all channeled, I didn't write any of it. It was channeled fully. There was a high-profile missing persons case in the city of Calgary, where I was living at the time. And I happened to be talking to a friend about it. I didn't know about this case because I don't watch the news, but she did, and it was from her town. She mentioned this lady. This old couple had been out on vacation. They had gone missing, and they had never come back. And all of a sudden, as she's telling me the story, I could see the mother there. And I said, oh my gosh, the lady's here. Well, that lady followed me home. And for 2 weeks, all she kept saying was, you've got to find my daughter. You've got to call my daughter. Please call my daughter. And I thought, oh my gosh, how on earth am I calling some stranger that I have to find out? And then telling them your mother's here, because clearly that means she's passed. Mm-hmm. And so I thought I can't. But finally, the mother, she made me. I mean, she wouldn't go anywhere. So I finally said, fine, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll find this lady, whoever this daughter is of yours. And she said, okay, but before you do that, can you get a piece of paper and a pen? So I did. And she said, I want you to take this note to transcribe a poem. So she dictated a poem to me. And I put it on pretty paper in case I got hold of this girl. And I did seek the woman. I found her. I mean, it was a pretty high profile case, so it wasn't too hard to find her. I found her. I phoned her. It was a really hard conversation, as you can well imagine. And the lady, I didn't know if she'd believe in this stuff. And she called me or she said to me right away, can I come over? And I said, okay. It was 10 o'clock at night, but I said, sure. So she came over, and before she said another word, I handed her the poem. I said, before we say anything, I just want to give you this. This is from your mother. And she then started crying, and she said, "Oh my God, now I know my mom has passed." And then she told me a story. She said that just before her parents went off on that fateful camping trip, they were sitting in the kitchen, her and her mom and her made an agreement that whoever passed first, the way they would prove it was really them is only if they did something in writing. If it wasn't in writing, it wasn't them. And
Wow.
so she said, I've worked with over 100 psychics and mediums, and none of them have ever given me anything on paper. And now I know it's truly my mother. So it was a very bittersweet thing where she knew her mom had passed. And so that's when I realized that maybe I ought to look at this, because this really, I mean, it was as sad as it was, it really helped her have the closure and stop looking and start dealing with what had happened. So that's when I decided to take this a bit more seriously. It still took me another 6 years probably before I ever truly did this for a living. But I did get my book out there published. And then Deva Pramal, who is a chant artist out in the grand world of music, she's a pretty famous chant artist. She got a copy of my book, and she absolutely loved it. And then unbeknownst to me, at all her concerts, I mean, every night of the week, she was in some city in Europe or America doing a concert, and she would tell her 5,000 or so listeners about my book. And I didn't know she was doing that. And all these people were calling me for readings. And that is how I was sort of pushed into doing readings. So now that I do, kind of did not want to do it, fought against it. In fact, the angels told me before I put the book out, they said, remember this word, unbidden. And I wasn't exactly sure what the meaning of it was, so I looked it up. Unbidden means you didn't go after it. It came to you. You did not seek it. And I said, okay, that's a perfect word. I almost named the book that, Unbidden, because I did not want this. I fought against it. And if you have a calling, I guess the moral of this story is for the listeners, if there's a calling deep in your soul, and even if you're not aware of it yet, your higher self is. And your angels are going to keep you on track, and they're going to just keep on funneling you into this, into this sort of laneway where you can't escape. And you're going to probably end up doing the thing that's on your dance card,
Exactly. I love that. And my own personal story too is like my soul knew, God knew what my journey was, but I didn't yet. And it wasn't until I was ready to accept it, and the divine time and right time was finally a kind of bing, bing, bing in my head, okay, I get it. So cool. So what are some of your best stories? What do you like about being a medium and being able to help people? What do you think?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I think the best
I know
stories.
I know it's a loaded question, because whenever anybody else would say, well, wait a minute, where do I begin? It's like, but really it's like just serendipity, just let it pop in,
I think the best stories that I have. So a lot of people would think, I'm a psychic, a medium, and a channel. And they might think, oh, when I tell somebody, oh, buy a lottery ticket, or, oh, you're going to get married, you're going to meet the love of your life. And even though they don't even go out, it was during COVID. I remember one lady, and she's like thinking in her head, no, there's no way. I don't even leave my house. Anyway, she meets him at a the rotisserie chicken area of the Whole Foods. And he's got a mask on, she's got a mask on, and there they are, and they fall in love. I mean, all kinds of stories like that. But I think my best stories are actually when I help people. And we talked about this earlier before we got on. I am able to go into people's, like if they come to me and let's say want to know about, is love coming for me? Well, when I tune in, if spirit shows me that they have a block around love, I will then say, okay, take me to the life where that got set up. And they just shoot me right back to the exact life where that got set up. And then I can tell the person, all right, there's some issues here about love, and here's where it started. And here are the beliefs that you hold. And now you need to reprogram those, because that's in your way of love. And so there's a lot of stories like that where it was this big aha, where people maybe wondered why they were born with a certain father, or why can't they have children? Or, okay, there was one story that, well, it's going to be in my next book if I get around to it. I'm not a writer, and this one would require me to write. So I don't know if I get it done.
AI can do that now, and the AI does everything.
I might have to utilize AI because I have the stories and the permission from the people to do that. But she always wondered, she had a child that was special needs. And the nurse who was around to help her had more of a bond with her than her. And she never understood anything about that. She couldn't understand that. And eventually she went to live, the child went to live in a home not very far away. And the nurse ended up asking, could I please take her and raise her in my home myself? And she felt intuitively to let her do that because she could see the love there. Well, when I got a hold, like when she called me, I'll never forget because I was in Florida and I was on vacation and my reading was then. So I sort of went off into a quiet spot and my son's sightseeing over there. But I said, give me a half an hour. I've got to do this reading. So I went off to a quiet part of this area that I was in. And I was reading her and I said to her, she knew, I didn't know a thing about her. And I said, you've got this child. And I said, there's somebody in her life and it feels like her nurse. And this woman is her true mother. And I know this is going to sound really weird to you, but you guys had an arrangement before you came in. This woman is sterile. She could not have a baby. And so she and you arranged that you would bring this child in, but this is her child. And you know, obviously you're close and you love her, but I think you even know what I'm talking about. Now, I know that sounds so wacky. Is there any truth? And she goes, oh my God, she started crying. She said, finally, I can understand why I felt to let my own child go. Because at the moment, what they were fighting for is the child had finally died. She wasn't supposed to live till 6 years old even, and she ended up living to be teenager. And then she did finally die. And that nurse wanted her ashes. She wanted them. And I said to her, it's okay. It's okay. And she said, I felt it was okay, but my family thought I was so wrong to do that, to give those away. But she goes, something inside of me told me it was right. And you have just put the whole story together for me. And she just walked away. She said, I feel like I just got this huge weight off of me. So those kind of stories, or like somebody whose maybe brother dies from suicide. And I can think of one lady, she was a psychiatrist and had a huge, very thriving practice. And the fact that her brother died just killed her. Like, how could that be that I didn't see that? And I brought her brother through and went through the scenario of why that had to happen like that. And she said, I haven't worked for 5 years in this field because I thought I'm a failure. If I can't save my brother, I might as well, I'm a fraud basically. And now she said, I'm going back to work. And so I think those times when I can shift how somebody sees an event like abuse or abandonment from somebody, you know, maybe you've been abandoned. If I can shift that for somebody or explain why you may be sabotaging in your health or in love or in money or success, and they come away and they're just like, oh my God, okay, now I have a direction, I have a roadmap, I can fix this. I feel like on top of the world. So that's what I love doing the most. Yeah.
Isn't that great? I feel the same way, you know, that when you can help somebody heal in a way that is so profound and it is so instrumental of what they need in their life, but it has to be the right time, right? It has to be the right time and the divine time. And I absolutely love that too. So that's cool. So we have the angels in common too. So I know I've been able to communicate with angels since I was a child, and I'm hard of hearing. I wear hearing aids, and I couldn't hear regular people, but I could hear them, and I felt them guiding me throughout my whole life. And when you wrote your book, how did you know? Were they there also guiding you, your angels? I don't know. They just told me to ask you that
You know,
question.
I don't know exactly. My book was very different than how I channel regularly. Normally, when I'm just on a client call, and if I'm bringing in their mom or whatever, they play with my hair, and that's how I know they're there. But for my book, it was very different. It was everything about it was different. I would do a special, I would play some of Deva Premal's music, actually. First, I'd play My Sweet Lord by George Harrison, and that would get to a very happy place. And once I was there, then I'd put on Deva Premal's Gayatri mantra. And that's what I would play in the background. And then I would see a curtain being opened and I would see the person standing there that I was going to channel. That's never happened before and it's never happened since, but they would open a curtain and I would see them. Now, a lot of the times I didn't know who they were. Like Waylon Jennings, I don't know who he is. I know nothing about him. Paul Newman, I didn't know that he had died or didn't die. I don't follow any celebrity stuff. I know nothing about anybody. And so they came to somebody who knows nothing about it, doesn't follow anything that's, you know, current and relevant. I don't care one bit about celebrities. And so I'd look and I'd think, what? And one of them was Davy Jones. those that are older generation would know who he is.
Monkey. Oh,
Right. And I said, no, it can't be. It can't be, because I had met him just a few years earlier in a
wow.
comedy club here in Calgary. And he was very much alive. I mean, he looked about 65 years old. He looked healthy, happy, everything. And I said, this can't be. He can't be dead. And he said, yeah, Lisa, I am. And he said, you remember that conversation we had? And in the bar that night, we had a conversation where he was saying that when you're dead, you're dead. And I said, no, Davey, you're not. And I said, I need to have you go for a regression. You need a past life regression, because then you'll see. And we never did get around to doing that. But he said to me that day through the ethers, he said, I'm so glad I was wrong. I'm so glad I was wrong. When you're dead, you're not dead. You're very much alive. He said, I've never been more, actually. So that's how they did it then. So the angels, I don't remember them being particularly instrumental, although I wouldn't doubt that they were helping orchestrate. They could have been pulling the curtains. I didn't see who was doing all that. But I do work with the angels, and they have helped me in, oh my gosh, so many ways. Definitely.
I know, absolutely. I love it. I love how, when you least expect it, all of a sudden they will appear, and I have a story with my brother who died in 2019, and I helped him cross over. It was 5 days. And it was just recently that I went into a restaurant and his best friend was in there. It was their 50th wedding anniversary, and it was a major healing that was done with his friend that I was able to help. But I loved it how my brother, knew I was going there, and he purposely, wanted to give his friend Tommy, a big hug, and that he was still around. And they're around no matter where we are, what we do, and the evidence comes through over and over again. But there's many people that don't believe in any of that.
It's
And
really
that's,
sad though, isn't it, Sheila?
yeah, it is. It's very sad.
And here's the thing that I like to tell people, whether you believe or you don't, that your guardian angel, it comes in with you from the first breath you take to the very last and never leaves your side. So whether you believe in them or not, doesn't discount that they are there. And the minute you start talking to them, because we were talking about this beforehand too, I had a period in my life for about 7 to 9 years. I call them my magical years because I was absolutely magical. I have never been like that since, but I was very focused on spirit and angels particularly. And so that I just talked to them every day. I have flowers now, but I'd always make sure to buy flowers for them regularly. I spoke to them. I put, I woke up, I said, good morning. I knew they were there. And my life was so magical. I could write a book of the magic and miracles that happened that period of time. And then I sort of went away and kind of got more involved in the world and chaos and different things going on in my own life, personal things and around me, and work things and all the rest of it. And I feel like I lost that connection a little bit, or I chose to turn away is what it is. I didn't lose it. And I can see the difference of what my life was like when I was focused on them being there. Magical. And they saved my life so many times from death in some cases, and accident, injury, all sorts of things. And did so many things. They protected everyone in my family. And then over here for these, 20 years that I've been sort of over there, and yeah, I notice them and I know they're there, but I don't make a point of connecting. I notice the difference. My life isn't nearly as magical without them as it is with them. So I can tell people, you guys listening, your life is, you have nothing to lose by trying. Just start connecting. Say hello every morning. Ask them for their guidance. Ask them to come in your dreams that night. Buy some flowers. Maybe put out something for them and say, this is for you. And thank you for what you do for me. And I'm glad you're there to guide me and protect me. They love to be of service. And that's, otherwise, what do they do? And they're kind of bored and they can't do things without us giving them permission to do them. They can't interfere, right? So definitely ask for their help.
Absolutely. I liked how you explained that is, just nonchalantly, just ask for their help. They're there. And, this energy that's here now, is totally different than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago, especially in the last 5 years, since COVID and stuff like that. And, I like that you talked about raising the consciousness of this earth right now, the shift of consciousness. And a lot of people they don't understand it. And it's really about positivity and about joy and about, sending compassion, and why we are here as light workers and why are we here at this time of evolution.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree? It's like, especially, with the COVID and everything that happened, but there's so much more to it with the light and the dark and the divinity part about it.
Oh,
We
yeah.
know it, we feel it, we sense it, and there's so many people that are waking up, you know? Isn't it wonderful being able to help people wake up?
Oh my gosh, I think that's why we're here. That's why all of you guys are here. That's why everyone watching here is here today. Like you're here on purpose. This is the time we're going from that light to the dark, or for the dark to the light. It is that new earth. It is that new time in that we've been hearing about and reading about for so long. We're in it. But like giving birth, anyone who's had a baby or knows anyone who's had a baby knows that there's that dark night of the soul when that baby's coming. It can be a transition, a rough transition. But at the same time, what's over there is so amazing that we're not even going to remember this. And so there is a transition time, and we're here to hold the light. And Mother Mary told me in 2020, June 2020, she came and told me that one person, because that's when COVID was in the thick of it, and she said that one person in a Zen space or a joy space neutralizes 1,000 people. So every person that is in a joy or Zen place, a peaceful or happy place, one of the two, either or both, they will neutralize 1,000 people in angst. So all these people all over the world were in so much angst and stress. So if you just sit quietly, just you meditating, you just being in a joyful place, dancing or singing or being with friends or laughing, that neutralizes 1,000 of those people that are just stuck in a lot of anxiety. You can help them. So by your very presence, you can help them. And I think that's what we're here to be, is these little lights all over the world, because we're going through a turning. It's a shift, a frequency shift. And so we need people to hold and anchor that light. And I think all the light workers are doing that. You're doing that, Sheila, and all the people listening. They wouldn't even be watching or listening if they weren't part of this agenda to help. You're one of the light workers.
Absolutely.
I think, honestly, I tell people, you know how to help the world? Be happy. That's it.
That's right.
If
And
you're
laugh.
happy, you are adding so much vibration, positive vibration to this earth, and that the darker stuff can't get as strong, because you're there laughing and having a good time and being positive. And so try not to fall into the darkness and the worry and the stress of everything that's going on.
Absolutely. 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 So if there's one thing you want to leave my viewers with, what do you think it is? What would you like to share with my viewers about who you are and what's coming up for you? Well, first of all, this is Holy Week. All right. So Holy Week really brings a lot of things into my center, all right, of who I am, letting go of the old, rebirthing into a new reality. And of course, with this shift of consciousness that we have now, we are in a new timeline. Totally. The energy is totally different. And it's exciting, but it's also, when you said the darkness of the soul, the midnight of the soul, it's true. It's like we have to go through that so that we can get to the other side and see the joy and live in the joy and be that example, right? Be that example. So, what would you like to talk about to my viewers about that? How be.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is right. It's like somebody once said that in darkness, faith grows. And just as I said that little story about me, I knew I was in these magical years and I knew all that. But when I got out of it, I could really see what I had. Like, you have to sometimes go to the dark and be lost and in the dark and confused before you can appreciate the light. I mean, really appreciate it and really choose it. So I think that's why we're on this earth. We're here because it's a duality consciousness. We're here because we want to experience the dark and the light. And we've all lived enough in the third world reality, which we all know can be pretty heavy. There's sorrow, there's heartbreak, there's poverty, there's all sorts of illnesses and bodily things. So there's a lot of struggle in life, but that helps us to, that's where our faith grows. And I think if you keep your eye on the light and just only look at the light, like I always say, set your vector and point it towards the light and keep looking at that light, even if you sometimes can barely see it. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Jesus comes to me almost, well, pretty well every Easter for the last few years. So I'm expecting this Easter as well. And he often talks to me about that, is just that, just knowing that you are that. And also he talks a lot about forgiveness. So if there's anything in your life that he basically said that we have to forgive, because going into this ascended energy, this higher frequency, it's very hard if you're holding on to unforgiveness. So if there's anything in your life that you are finding that you're not able to forgive, either yourself or or somebody else for, work hard on that and call in whoever you talk to, whoever you honor, call whoever it is that you talk to and pray to help you if you need help. Because I would say forgive yourself and love, just find joy in life as best you can. Love and joy, just seek love and joy. Turn off the news and just
Yes.
right, and just hold that zen and joy place, because know that every time you do that, 1,000 people that are all wound up out there are going to just calm right down. And that's how you can, I think, affect change on this planet. And also, if you're called to speak, if you're called to teach, if you're called to heal, then do that. Find the courage to get out there and do that. And even if you're not sure what you're here to do, if there's something that you're being called to do, I would say just ask. Spirit and your angels are more than happy to come in and help you with that answer, whether through a meditation or a dream or through automatic writing or something like that, an inspired poem even. They could be speaking to you. So just start to speak to them and ask for their guidance, and I think you'll be all right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so what I have coming up, I have a moon meditate. Well, I don't know, this won't go out probably in time, but I have a moon meditation this Wednesday. I do it every month, a full moon meditation. I do messages and meditation. And then I've got an inner circle that's coming up on April 17th. It's brand new. And it's just where people can come in a small group and we can do all kinds of great things together and have more of an intimate sharing and learning and healing, and there'll be readings and teachers. Maybe you'd like to come in and share with us in my inner circle. By lots of good healers and teachers coming, and so I have that, and I also teach them intuitive development classes all the time. They're ongoing, so it's just a lot of great practice with like-minded souls to build that intuitive muscle. And then of course, I do readings all the time. And you can just go to my website, lisanajjar.com. On it, you should subscribe, because each month I do a free reading. I draw for a free reading. So I do that once a month, and I'll be doing it again on the 11th of April. So if you get your name in before that, you'll be on that next list.
Oh, wow.
So
I love speaking with light workers and see their transformation, and since I've known you about a year now, I see the transformation in you, and I can see that very vividly, which I'm really glad. And being a recovery metaphysician and my connection with the Galactic Star Mothers, there's so much work that is happening quickly. And all of us are going through it. We're all having that, being in this new energy, being in the compassion of love, and also the connection with the galactic, of course, the angels. And I love how you talked about just ask. There are so many helpers that are there for us, that have been with us from the beginning of time. And this is the time of a great awakening. And I am just so grateful for the role that I play, and that I listen to the calling, because there was many years that I didn't think I was worthy enough. And that's the whole point, is that many of us live in that duality of, performing and doing and behaving and whatever, instead of look at your uniqueness. What is so great about you? How can you help humanity? And a lot of people say, well, I'm not a medium and I'm not a healer, I don't do that. And you were right about the frequency. It's about the vibration that you give off and the collective the energy that's out there, how they bring people together. All right. Just like how they brought us together with our friends and stuff like that. It's like, who would have known? Who would have known? And it's all part of our evolution, why we are here. Why we are here. This is a time of a great advancement. And it is, scary for a lot of people when they live in that fear. And instead of trusting their own intuitive wisdom that they have as a soul. Our soul knows, and the thing is that we have to give permission. We have to say, okay, all right, I don't know what's going on, but I need help. And really, our loved ones, meaning, of course, our loved ones, our family, but we're talking about our loved ones that have been with us from the beginning of time, our guardian angels, our mentors, our people that have been with her. They've been waiting for this time. They've been waiting. And the serendipitous part about it is that they have been lining it up all along. And it was ready when we were ready. And just same with humanity, what is happening now, the great shift. People are starting to wake up. They're starting to realize that they can stand in their power of divine beings, and that we are all from the light. We all never die. Our spirit lives forever. And we are brought together, as souls, and the plans that we make to set this up, and it is about free choice. If we choose, many of us choose not to because we still live in the fear, and that's okay. That's part of the Akashic. That's part of the role that they played in the actual life, the lessons that they needed to learn, but what is so phenomenal now is that the karmic, the old stuff is going away because we are standing in our power and our light that is here now. So, and I'm just so grateful for you, Lisa, to be able to come on to my podcast and to give my viewers and my listeners a little bit of piece of you. And we all do this together. We all do this together, isn't it? It's like,
well, we are, and it wouldn't even be the same without every single person that's here on this planet. Exactly. Nothing would be the same without you guys, without everybody here. Everyone plays the role, and whether you're here, we're all here to work our stuff and to clear our, stuff so that we can really stand in that, like you said, stand in the truth of who we are. And also, just like I said, just be happy. If you're walking around and having a wonderful time, and you're positive and you're happy and you're radiating joy and peace, you have done so much. Every moment of the day, you're doing so much. And so don't ever think, oh, wow, I'm not doing anything. Oh, yeah, you are. Everybody's doing something. Just be a loving person, be a happy person, just be a kind person, be a thoughtful person. Those things are more important than ever before. So I don't think it has to be those grand gestures. It can be just the smallest things. And I think it's beautiful. I think we're all here for a reason. And and we're an integral part of this cosmic Leela,
I know, it's great, isn't it wonderful? So listeners, go to Lisa's website, www.lisanajjar.com, and also email lisa@lisanajjar.com. All right. So thank you, Lisa, for being here, and thank you so much for tuning in and spending this time for us and with us. All right. So remember, every moment that we spend healing ourselves is a moment spent healing humanity. And I invite you to join me each week as we dive into topics that will help you align your mission with your passion. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Namaste. Are you ready to ascend to new heights of consciousness? Are you ready to live your Ascension wisdom mastery? Dive into the Galactic Ascension Academy, where cosmic wisdom meets spiritual evolution. Unlock premium courses with like-minded seekers. Join a community of awakened souls and experience monthly group healing sessions. Elevate your journey with Star Mother's activations, teachings, and meditations. Join the Galactic Ascension Academy today and awaken the Stardust DNA within you. cosmic journey starts now.